Let's just get this party started,
Okay,
Tim.
all right.
Let's do it! Yes! Uh-huh! Oh, man! We're here! The Podcast Engineering Show. My name's Chris Curran. I produce podcasts for the likes of Forbes and Dun & Bradstreet and E+ and AAPD. Every week on this show, we bring you podcast production techniques on a silver platter. We talk shop. We really get into the audio engineering aspects of podcast production. We go really deep as we can. I have a background in audio engineering in the music business, and since I entered podcasting about 6 years ago, I noticed a huge lack of audio skills in podcasting in general. Not only podcasters, but some podcast producers are, totally self-taught, and they don't have a great foundational knowledge of audio engineering. So that's where this show can help. And if you implement the best of what you learn here, your podcast will sound a lot better, and you'll spend less time producing them. And of course, I got to mention the Podcast Engineering School. It's the school that I started. If you want to learn how to produce and engineer podcasts at a professional level, I have an online course. It's pretty deep and intense. It's not for the faint-hearted. There's 7 classes. There's a bunch of mentorships. There's a bunch of, mentorship sessions with me. There's bonus videos. There's a Slack community. It's kind of like once you get in, you're like in the community for life. So, and it's great. We have current students in the community, all the alumni. It's just great. Podcast Engineering School. Again, it's not for everyone, but if you really want to know what you're doing and even make some money, hey, how about that? Make some money producing podcasts. That's how I make my living. So, and I share everything. So today, and I shouldn't say today, I actually recorded a session earlier today. But anyway, today, Tim Cumings. How you doing, man?
All right, man. Great to be here.
So you're a 617 area code, so you're up near Boston.
I'm in Boston, not too far from your old stomping grounds in New Jersey.
Yes, and I've been up to Boston quite a bit. My friend used to live there, and actually one of the studios I worked at in New York, their original studio was in Boston. It was kind of like a voiceover studio. And then the owner opened one up in New York, which was more for music, which ended up turning into more like music. And then they had some film studios as well. So you're the producer of the Cooking in the Dark podcast.
Yes.
And what's the website for that?
Well, you can find that at blindmicemegamall.com. And it's the motto of the show is Cooking in the Dark, where you don't need sight to cook dinner tonight. So that's
right. Because you are blind, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is your wife also blind?
She is. And the guy who's the host of the show is blind. So
wow. All right. So your wife is a co-host. You are the engineer producer, and your friend is the host.
Correct.
Wow. And you're all not able to see, but you see, you're able to see in a different way. Do you feel that as a blind person that like you develop other perceptual abilities?
I think I just pay more attention. I think that's why a lot of blind people are real audiophiles. So a lot of blind people would love, your podcast because they're just so into audio.
Cool.
So.
Yeah. So we're gonna have. This is good. So we're going to talk all about your production. Let's start off with the speed round. Like within about 60 seconds, go ahead and just give us the quick overview. Like when you're about ready to record a show and your wife is there and the host is there, and what mics do they have and where are you recording it, and then software. Give me the overview. All
right. So here's the overview. So we're recording in our spare room here, which is kind of our computer/guest room, and if you look on channel 1 of my mixer, connected up to channel 1, I have a Vox Pop Stop mic filter hooked up to a CAD GXL-3000 condenser mic. That's what I'm speaking into right now, which is attached to a Rode PSA1 mic boom arm. And then I'm using a Sennheiser HD202 headphones. And my wife, she's on channel 2, and she uses an Audio-Technica BPHS1 headset, which is the kind of the headset that a lot of the sportscasters use. I think you had some people on the past on your podcast. And that's running into a Triton Audio Fethead. And this all is running, it's all running into a Mackie 802 VLZ3 mixer, which then runs into a Presonus Audiobox iTwo into a PC. and I'm using a PLEXTALK pocket recorder to record the podcast. And then our host, who's in Texas, who we connect with over Skype, he uses a Plantronics Audio 995 USB headset with noise-canceling microphone. And then to play all my actualities during the show and to also do the editing, I use a program which has never been mentioned on your show, I don't think, to this point, but it's a neat little program. It's similar to SoundForge. It's called GoldWave. It's a $40 single-track audio editor. So that's what I use to do the editing. That's it.
GoldWave. So it's just as like a stereo detailed editor. Yes,
correct. It's made by a guy in Canada, and it's a cool little program. It's pretty powerful for a $40 program, and it's got a lot of effects, and it's pretty neat.
That's cool. See, I'm a big fan of like the simple stereo editors where you can just get it done. Open up a file and zip through it and use the utilities you need and just edit it, tighten it up, and then boom, save it, and you're done. And then, of course, after that, I master it as well to a loudness level. Do you do that as well?
I do a little bit of that, and then I run the final product. And I didn't used to do this before, and I run the final product through Auphonic. Okay. I used to use Levelator, but and Levelator was cool, but actually, I think Auphonic does a much better job than Levelator in terms of getting things up to 18 LUFS or 16 LUFS or whatever you're normalizing it to.
So you mentioned GoldWave, and by the way, it reminds me of another program called Twisted Wave, which is
for the Mac. Yes,
that's for a Mac.
That's for the Mac, and a lot of people in the voiceover business actually use that.
Okay,
it's a pretty simple audio editor for the Mac. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I didn't know what it was, but when I was researching different like detail editors for podcast engineering school, I found Twisted Wave. People were mentioning Twisted Wave all over the place, and I had never used it. So that's one. And I just actually I've been on a spree lately buying these Rogue Amoeba programs because they just came out with one called Farrago, which is like for playing sound clips. It's like a little sound clip app that works on a Mac. It's Mac only. And anyway, as I was buying that, they're like, oh, you might be interested in Fission. And they charged me like, I think it was $19 for Fission, and Fission is like GoldWave and Twisted Wave. Like, it's just a simple editor, just a simple utilities, and apparently it's good. But I'm gonna try it because, actually my one business partner has it. I told him to buy Fission because it was cheaper, and he has a Mac. And he's like, oh, did you ever use it? I'm like, no. And he's like, well, then why'd you tell me to get it? And I'm like, because Rogue Amoeba's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because, I used to have friends who would say, well, you should use SoundForge. It's such a powerful program. And the thing is, I really think when it comes down to it, it's all of what you get used to,
Yeah.
And all these programs, if you put them all up against each other, if you're a good editor, nobody's going to know what the heck program you're using to edit your audio,
Right. So. Yeah, that's a great point. I think with music, like, you might need more utilities and more functionality and more processing, tricks and stuff like that. But in podcasting, I mean, really, we're not doing that much. I mean, what are you doing? Fading out little things. You're obviously cutting and crossfading maybe. And maybe you're normalizing pieces, and a couple times I'll actually use time stretching. Like, sometimes this happens a lot with certain hosts. They're like, when they take a breath in, the breath is so long. It's like, and it's like, it's way too long. And obviously you can't cut a breath in half. So what do? I'll highlight the whole breath, and I'll time stretch it. Well, really, I'll time compress it to be half the length without changing the pitch.
And all these programs, have there are all these little deep breather things that you can get. I mean, it's amazing all the stuff they're coming out with now that supposedly deals with this stuff.
Yeah, I just use in RX6 Advanced, there's a deep breath. Well, actually, it's called breath control, but really it's a deep breath. And you can tell it how many dB to lower the breaths. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And so I actually used it for the very first time for one of my clients. They had a guest who he was on was on a headset. So, when people are on headsets, the mic is right near their mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And if they're a heavy breather, then the breaths end up being loud, especially after you compress it. That's when that's when the breaths really get loud, is when you compress someone's voice. And that's why I tell my students in podcast engineering school, I'm like, when we talk about editing and breaths, I talk about how important breaths are to sounding natural. And I go just listen to the radio. Just turn on any radio, like let's say pop music. Listen to the singers. Their breaths are like as loud as their voice when you really start paying attention. And when you start paying attention, it sounds awkward. Like it sounds like, why don't they tame those breaths? And it's like, well, no, it's natural to hear a breath. So,
Exactly.
So we're going to go through, your mic is the CAD GXL-3000, and I pulled it up just to look at it, and man, this thing looks like a beast, but it's only costs like $150, right?
Yeah, it's like $100. It's got 3 patterns. It's got the figure 8, cardioid, and omni, and I usually use the figure 8 pattern. And it's got a roll off switch, and it's got a what's that thing called? Well, it's got a pad. It's got a pad.
Yeah, pad.
And I usually run it with a roll off switch on because I just, my voice isn't that bassy, and I don't like artificial bass. And so I usually, when I'm recording, I'll just keep it, get rid of those things below 100 hertz anyway, because a lot of that's just junk. You don't need it.
Yeah, that's a great point. A lot of people, like some microphones, they have a low frequency roll off, and it like when you have a mic like that, you actually have to try it both ways. Like you should definitely record it one way, like without the roll off, and then record it with the bass rolled off, and then hear it, because you can always roll off bass later. But the thing is, sometimes the roll offs on the mic are just somehow like the frequencies that they roll off and like the rate at which they roll them off, it's somehow like just perfect. So sometimes it really is good to use the roll off on the mic. Other times you can just do that later.
Yeah, and that's true. And it's just and I love your point about it, and it's so important that you really, and it's hard to do this unless you can go to a music store, but you really have to try a mic, because you don't know whether that mic's going to be good for your voice. I know, like you've mentioned this in the past, the high LPR 40 has kind of become like the go-to mic for a lot of podcasters. And I know for me, I think on a high LPR 40, I would just sound horrible. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I was shocked when we did the microphone test drive last summer at Podcast Movement. We had a PR40, and I really thought it was like I thought it was like a defective microphone, because it people say it has a lot of low end, and for me it was like the opposite. And it wasn't just my voice. I was actually the one recording all these people coming through, trying all the mics, and inevitably the PR40 sounded like a little like bright and a little harsh. Not harsh, but just bright. And but yeah, for some people's voices it fits. But wait, I want to ask you, you said you use the figure 8 pattern on that mic.
No. I use the cardioid.
Oh, okay.
I use the cardioid pattern. Yeah, no, the figure 8 is actually even a little more basic. No, I use the cardioid pattern.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to say, like, the only reason you would use a figure 8 is if there's like 2 people, like one person on each side.
Yeah, if you're doing an interview. Exactly.
We used to, a lot of times when we would record backup vocals in the studios, like you'd have 2 people go out in the studio, and you'd use a nice mic with a figure 8 pattern, and they would face each other, and they'd both sing into the mic. And really cool then, because, and by the way, obviously the voices blend together and come through as one signal. So a lot of times, like if one person's voice was louder, like as the engineer, we would tell them, like, move back 12 inches. And then, because you almost have to like balance the level of the voices by how far away they are from the mic.
Yeah. It's like the non-high-tech way of balancing voices. Just move back. It's like that old Stan Freberg thing about the Banana Boat song. Oh, you're too piercing, man. Too loud. So
yeah, and I've actually done that with the Exalted Blue Yeti on a table with like 2 or 3 people sitting around a table with the Blue Yeti there. I've had to, ask my host to, push the Blue Yeti toward this person because their voice is just too low.
Yeah, exactly.
And this person's a loudmouth, and that person talks soft. Of course, until they all start. Then they all start laughing, and then everything overloads.
Yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
Dang
it's
it.
amazing how one sneeze can just totally spike the audio.
So this, the CAD GXL-3000 that you're using, in the picture I see, it comes with like its own little shock mount.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Which is great. It comes with a shock mount, and it's a very economical mic in that sense, because a mic that big, you really need a shock mount. Otherwise, any kind of vibrations you'll hear.
Yeah, and it's good that it comes with it, because then it fits perfect. It's like even my RE20 that I'm using right now, it's like I just bought this shock mount from the music store. It's not an expensive one, and it kind of fits. It's a little tight. It's a little hard to get it on and off, so I actually just don't take it. I don't take it out of the shock mount really ever. But it, you know what I mean? Like just if the shock mount comes with the mic, it's nice because everything fits and it works.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that. So, all right. So then your wife is using the BPHS1. That's an Audio-Technica. That's the one, if for regular listeners of the show, that's the one that Ralph M. Rivera and his wife, Crystal Love Rivera, use. Her name's actually Carolyn, but CL, I just call her Crystal Love. And I don't know why they call me Christopher Flamingo Curran, but I mean, this is what friends do on podcasts.
That's it.
So so what are your feelings on the BPHS1 headset?
I got it for her because, and she's, we've been doing this podcast since 2005, so she knows a lot about audio, but I got it for her so she wouldn't have to worry about really mic placement. She can just put the mic where she wants it and forget it. And for her, I like it because it's very noise canceling. It's got like almost like a hypercardioid pattern to it. So it just picks up what's right in front of it. So it's so in that sense, it's really good. And she doesn't have that real. I think it goes down to like 40 hertz, so she doesn't have that real of a bassy voice, but it works really well for her. And like I said, just the ease of not having to worry about, positioning.
Yeah. So you can turn your head and talk, and you don't have to have your lips touching a microphone. Hey, when Ralph M. Rivera, when he first got his headset, I told him, I said, hey, man, record some of your voice and send it to me. He sent it to me, and I made two observations, and I'm wondering if you also make the same observations. Number one was, well, it might be because of Ralph, but I think like I heard more mouth noises than usual, like the little tiny mouth clicks.
Yes,
but Ralph's voice, he does make, I think, more mouth clicks than the average person.
Right. No, that's true. It definitely would, and especially if you have it really close. It'll definitely pick up mouth clicks.
Yeah, those tiny mouth clicks.
Yeah.
And by the way, Ralph, I read a scientific study that the amount of mouth clicks that a person has is directly related to higher intelligence. Okay, and right, Barry, that's what we learned.
And scientific report from California was saying the same thing.
That's right. So, Ralph, don't be ashamed of your mouth clicks. The other thing I noticed, and by the way, thank God for RX6. For the mouth clicks. I mean, wow, that just gets rid of mouth clicks. It's wonderful. And the other thing I noticed from his voice, and it wasn't just his voice, because normally he records on a PR40, and when I heard his voice through the BPHS1 headset, I had to boost, like, I think it was like around 110 hertz. Like, I had to boost some low end because it sounded a little thin, and I believe that's because it's just like the mic. If the mic is so close to your mouth, and, again, hypercardioid, so it might not pick up as much bass. Did you have that observation as well?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't have as much. It doesn't have as much bass, and obviously the other thing is that it's a lot. This kind of mic's used a lot by sportscasters in very noisy environments. So I think that's another reason they probably roll off the bass.
Right.
Yeah. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, and then the host of the show uses a Plantronics Audio 995 USB headset. What is that like?
It's a USB headset, but it's got a little dongle that you can plug into the computer. So it's actually wireless. So you can you can. It's not Bluetooth, but it's wireless, so you can move about 30 or 40 feet. So it's good for him because he's cooking. So he's moving all over the kitchen. So we needed to find something that would, that would allow him kind of freedom of movement, not be tethered to a PC.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It says it's a multimedia headset with noise-canceling microphone. And yeah, it's well, wait, it's got to be Bluetooth. It's wireless. It has to be Bluetooth, right?
Well, no, it's not Bluetooth. It's actually it's got a, like I said, it's wireless. There's a little dongle that plugs in. That's like the
receiver.
Receiver, yeah, exactly. And it's much better sounding than most Bluetooth headsets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Maybe it is like an actual wireless transmission, like most higher end wireless mics. Although it might be Bluetooth because you know what? By the way, this is on Amazon. It says $230, so this is not a cheap.
Well, no, it's the price has gone up, man. Because when I bought it, but this was a while ago, it was about half that. So
oh wow,
the price has gone up since I've got one like 10 years ago. Yeah.
So
let me just say one thing, because you talk, about the evolution in audio, and this setup that we're using now, we didn't start with this setup.
Oh.
We started, if you go back to like show 60, you can hear it. But we started using the phone line with. I had one of these audio hybrids that they'd use in conference rooms, and it was this big box that I got from a friend of mine. It had 4 XLR plugs in it to plug in 4 microphones with level control, and you just plugged it into your phone line, and that's what we were using until probably episode 80, and then we switched over to Skype, and then we just from there we just made leaps and bounds in terms of audio. So.
And that big box, was that like an audio interface, or was that a recorder?
It was an audio. It was a hybrid. It was just to connect to your phone.
Got it.
So what I did was I just plugged a recorder into the back. I didn't even use a mixer back then. I just plugged a recorder into the back.
Got it.
And so then I had a lot more post-production to do because I had to put in all my breaks and everything after the show had been done. So it took a lot longer to do production.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. The evolution, right? It just keeps going. And then once you become really, I don't want to badmouth myself, but once you develop a hankering for more and more plugins, then then you have a problem.
Exactly.
I just bought a plugin. So tomorrow, which by the time this comes out, it'll be about 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow morning, my monthly email newsletter goes out, and like. My monthly email newsletter for Podcast Engineering School has just become it. More and more stuff is on it every month. It's so cool, but it takes more work. But and one of the things I'm featuring is the Sheps Omni channel. It's a Waves plugin. It's new. It's called the Sheps Omni channel. It's a channel strip, but it's really cool because it has 2 de-essers. It has a gate expander. It has a compressor. It has like everything you would need. Like not all channel strips have de-essers. Almost none of them do. So this is really a channel strip that like it does everything. I mean, I can't think of anything, any normal type of processing that it doesn't do. So anyway, I was writing in my newsletter, I really liked it, and I tried it, I tested it, and I'm going to buy it. And then I was like, you know what? And I went online and I bought it, and then I went back into the email and I wrote, I just bought it.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Anyway, it's $50, but I bought it. I'm going to use it on my new iMac Pro. So before we get back into the gear list, so you're in the room with your wife when she's co-hosting. So you just kind of have to sit there quiet and stuff.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I've got my mic muted during the show, and I'm running the board. So when we go to breaks, I bring in the break music, and I bring in the little things that bring us back. And so yeah, I'm just quiet. I just give a time check just to let them know, between breaks how much time we've been recording. But yeah, for the most part, I'm quiet, so you never hear me on on the podcast.
Right? I used to do that back in my studio in New Jersey, and I'd have clients come in and they record, and like one day I suddenly realized, I'm like, well, wait a minute, what if I have to like sneeze or cough? And like I really never had, because I don't know, I think something weird happens to like an audio engineer, like when you have to be quiet, like you can just be really quiet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that's why, thank God, these Mackies, they have mute buttons for every microphone. So it's
So now,
nice.
wait, are you broadcasting live? Because you said you could bring in break music and stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, that goes into the podcast. No, we're
Got
not
it.
broadcasting live. That's just for later when we upload it. So
You do it as if it's live.
Do it exactly.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we'll bring guests in over Skype, or if we have to, if they don't have Skype, through Skype Out, we can bring them in through a phone line. And I have to say that Skype Out is pretty good, because you with Skype Out you never get bad phone audio. You never get hums and buzzes, like you used to do in the world of the old POTS line way back in the day. So it's pretty clean audio.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I stopped using my little JK audio broadcast host for phone calls.
Oh, I used to have one of those, man.
Really?
That was a great little.
It's
great
nice.
little piece of kit. It is. I sold it to this guy out in Ohio, and he loves it. But yeah, it's a great little, and it's amazing how good it is. At separating the signals. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and there's this one little, like when I got it, I read the manual, and it's like, oh, if you want 6 more dB of gain, then just open it up and take out this little chip. And I'm like, come on, of course I'm going to take out the chip.
Exactly.
So I did that, and I still have the chip somewhere. I know I put it in a good spot, but my point of bringing that up is that I also now do all phone calls through Skype, because thing is, when you use the JK Audio broadcast host, it sounds fun. It's just like the raw audio. So now afterwards, I got to do noise reduction. I got to EQ it and compress it. And it's like when it goes through Skype is already doing the noise reduction. So.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's great.
It's easier.
Yeah, much easier.
All right. So then you're plugging into your mixer. You're like your local microphones. Your mic and your wife's mic are going into the Mackie mixer.
Yes, and I love the Mackie mixers are great. And this is an old analog mixer, but man, the Mackies, they have a good reputation. They do mix. Well, I know you've got a Mackie mixer, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I've used Mackie for years.
Yeah, they're great mixers.
Yeah,
they're built like a tank.
Yeah, they're built well, and they're just I don't know, they're quiet.
Yes, very quiet.
That's what I feel. It's like they're quiet. Even the mic pre's, like, I mean, if you have to crank them up a little, you don't get noise. I mean, that's the difference between them. Well, let me put it this way. In my mind, there's a big difference between Mackie and Behringer.
Yes.
Quality-wise. And that's why and Behringer is all super popular in podcasting, because it's cheap.
Yeah.
But inevitably, like, you crank up a mic pre a little, and it's like, oh, and then it's like, oh, what's that hum? Like, I mean, especially these USB mixers too, these little cheap Behringer USB mixers, which can be very handy, actually. If all you need is a couple, if all you needed to do is a couple simple things, then good. But, I don't know. I've never owned a USB mixer yet. Have you?
No, I haven't. But it's interesting, because what I was having a little bit of hum with my Presonus Audiobox, because that's a USB interface. But what I did was I got some of those ferrite chokes, and man, they do the trick. They really work.
What are they?
They're these little things that some USB cables have them. There's little things that you wrap around the cord, and basically they help get rid of interference.
Oh,
so like USB, the USB. Some of these mixers and stuff are really awful USB whine. This kind of high pitched USB whine that you can get, and So, yeah, it makes a big difference.
What's it called?
It's a ferrite. It's called like a ferrite choke or noise eliminator or something like that. I'll send you the link. So they're pretty cool, and they work.
That's interesting. Yeah, there's nothing worse in a studio than a hum. I mean, that's it.
No.
I can't sleep at night if there's a hum in my studio.
No, you can't. No, you can't. And the thing is, if you use noise reduction to get rid of it, sometimes it's even worse, because of the artifacts that you end up with. So
the only thing worse than hum is when a power supply goes out. And Barry, what is it like then?
There's no activity, no giggle, no nothing.
That's right, no nothing. All right, so yeah, your Mackie. I like Mackies, and so then wait, so it comes out of the Mackie and goes into the Presonus interface.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, what's that interface like? The Audiobox iTwo.
iTwo. It's a 2-channel interface from Presonus, and the reason they call it the iTwo is because it can directly connect. You can directly connect it up to an iPhone or an iPad, so which is kind of cool. But the interesting thing about that is even if you connect a mixer like that up to the iPhone, and you're using Skype, you still with the iPhone you still only can use the built-in mic of your iPhone for Skype. It's kind of bizarre,
huh?
But it's just a simple 2-channel interface.
Yeah,
and it's got phantom power, obviously. And so I've just got cables running directly from the mixer to it. So it's getting a line level signal, and it works pretty well.
Nice. And so I'm looking at it right now. It actually looks a lot like a Focusrite 2 iTwo. Similar.
Yeah. I think it is very similar.
In fact, it looks really similar because on the right side it has the big monitor knob and then the little headphone knob.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it's $150, same as a 2 iTwo.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. So that's cool. And so wait, now you come out of your mixer, you have your wife's voice and the host's voice, right?
Correct.
And do you mix them together to tape?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I don't do, and I should think about it in the future. Maybe doing what you suggest and doing actual two-track recording. Right now, I mix them together to one track, and then of course I have a mix minus set up so that the host can hear everything that's going down the line except himself, so he can hear all the actualities and stuff that I'm playing. So
got it.
I'm using like 1, 2, 3, for like 4 channels on the mixer. So
nice. Yeah, I mean, so right now you're actually performing the show as if it's live, and you're also recording it down to stereo live.
Exactly.
Yeah. So now, so you technically you could record each voice separately.
Yes.
The only thing is,
I could just pan them. I could just pan the mixer. I could just pan them.
You could pan them, but
channels.
The problem would be if you're playing any music at the same time.
Right.
Because then that would kind of ruin it.
Yeah.
But if it was just the voices panned left and right, then yeah. And beware though. Well, not beware, but be aware that creates a lot more work in post-production.
Oh yeah, no, it does. It definitely does.
But it just gives you more control, like especially. Yes. Well, see, the thing is, you're working with the same 2 people all the time, so you can like train them, and they know how to use their equipment and yada yada, and there's like no major background noise that you don't want.
Exactly.
Like, that. Those are the cases when you want someone isolated, is when you don't know what you're going to get. Like, you're going to connect with someone over the internet and you have no idea what kind of mic or where they are. And like, I need that person on their own track because I know I'm going to have to do major surgery later,
Yeah. And that's why Reaper for you is such a great DAW. And I've actually used Reaper in the past and I liked it, but I just find that for me, it was just, it was just overkill, but it's an amazing little app. Yeah. It's an amazing little program.
Yeah,
really
yeah. I just was talking to someone yesterday about Reaper and Reaper versus Hindenburg, and yeah, I mean, it in a way it comes down to like what you feel comfortable with, like almost like the user interface. Some of them like they just feel better, and it's like, oh, this is cool. Other ones, it's like, oh, where is everything? I don't even know what this is. You know what I mean?
I got to dig into these menus and find out why do I need 30 compressors?
Yeah. So when you come out of your Mackie 802 mixer, you come into your Presonus interface, and you're obviously just taking like the main left and right out.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And
then record that to wave.
And the preamps on your interface, they should be pretty much turned down a lot, right?
Yeah, they usually set at either they go up to say 40 clicks, and I usually set them at either 20 or 25. So yeah, they're down quite a bit.
Okay, yeah, because that's one thing. Like when you come out of a mixer, kind of like a rule of thumb is like you should come out pretty much as hot as possible, meaning a nice strong level, and then on the preamps of your audio interface, try to turn them down as far as possible, because you don't want to add too much gain to something which is already at a nice line level, right? Right,
and you don't want to bring in any extra. Don't want to bring in an extra noise if you can avoid it too either. So
exactly.
That's the thing that's amazing about that new sound devices thing you got. Man, that thing's got low.
Yeah.
That thing's got low noise. And then I went on the web and I looked and I saw the price and I said, "Oh yeah, that's definitely sound devices."
Yeah, that's. I'm still massaging my new computer and my Mix Pre 6, and I'm not using them for main production yet, even though I've had them for only a couple weeks. But I'm just getting everything right. It's just taking a while, but I'm taking my time. So
yeah, no, that's what you got to do. I mean, and the thing is, everybody knows their own gear, and you got to learn how your own gear works and how it works with your particular computer, right. And that's half the battle,
Right. So now your wife is again using the headset, the BPHS1, and that's going into a Fethead.
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason that I do that is just so that we can lower the gain, because the other thing about the BPHS1 is it's a dynamic mic, so it's pretty low.
Got it.
So that way I can run it into the Fethead and just crank things down quite a bit. So
yeah,
that's
awesome. I just want a Fethead because I just want to try it. I don't know.
It's quiet, man. I think you really like it, especially for something like what's that mic that you used to? What's that mic that you used to use? The
SM7B.
SM7, something like that.
Yeah,
something like this SM7B. It's great, man, because it just boom, man, it's another 20 dB.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, talk to me about the BPHS1. So it obviously has an XLR output, which you're putting the Fethead on. But how do you get the sound from the mixer into your wife's headset?
So it's got an XLR for the it's got an XLR for the input, and it's got a 1/4 inch for the output. So I just plug her directly into the mixer.
Really?
So it's got a 1/4 inch, so she hears everything that's coming right through the mixer, so no problem.
And so is that how long is the cord for that headset?
It's long. It's probably 8 or 9 feet long.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's a good long. It's a good long cord. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good, and it's a heavy duty cord, and it's nice. It's got a little. You slide it in to the headphones, and it's even got a little locking screw.
Oh.
So it's well made.
Right. So you just plug her into the headphone out, and you're also wearing headphones plugged in. Is there 2 headphone outs of that mixer?
No, I actually I monitor off my recorder. So that's what I do. I plug into my recorder, and so that's the last stage. And so I plug my headphones into the recorder and I'm monitoring that way. So
that's actually, that's the best way, technically speaking.
Yeah.
Because you're literally monitoring what is reaching the recorder.
Exactly.
Which is good because off the mixer it sounds great, but the recorder, the battery died.
Exactly.
Oops.
Oh, that level's really low. Yeah.
All right, the PLEXTALK. I'm going to read this. The PLEXTALK Pocket Portable Daisy MP3 player and voice recorder. Barry, do you have one of these?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Of course he does. What are you talking? So what is this? Just like a little? How small is it?
It's fairly small. The thing that I really like about it is it's designed specifically for the blind and visually impaired. So the thing that's really nice is it's got all audio prompts for setting your levels and stuff like that, and talking menus. So it's great. A lot of these new recorders, they're all menu driven. and the menus wrap, and if you've either got to you've got to memorize, you've got to count button pushes, and then even then you don't kind of know where you are. So that's why I like this recorder, and it's got a real honest to goodness nice line in setting, which is great. So
okay,
yeah.
Oh, there it is. Wow, it almost looks like a little TV remote control.
Yeah, it's pretty small, and it can record in MP3 or WAVE, and I usually record in WAVE 44,
Nice.
16. So yeah, it's and it uses SD. You can have take up to a 32 SD, 32 gig SD card, so you can record a lot of stuff.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it do 24-bit?
I don't know if it does do 24-bit actually. Yeah.
Yeah, if it does, that's always good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've talked about it before, but the difference between 16-bit and 24-bit is huge.
Especially in terms of dynamic range. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Resolution-wise, oh my God, it's insane. So that's cool. All right, you got that little recorder, and that's so wait, is that the only place you're recording it?
That's the only place I'm recording it. I used to use some of these kind of Skype recorder programs as a backup, but I haven't found one. The one I used to use doesn't really work anymore. I gotta find another one so I can have something as a backup.
Well, wait. So you're using the Presonus audio interface. Is that hooked up USB to your computer?
Yes.
Okay, so on your computer, just open up. You could probably use GoldWave.
Yeah, I probably could actually. That's right. Just then open up another instance of it and do it. That's true, actually.
Oh, wait, you're using another instance?
Well, no, I'm using GoldWave. I'm using it to play all of the actualities and stuff during the show. So remember, because I'm recording it as if it's live. So
okay.
Yeah. So, but I could probably get use another instance of it, or get one of these. Even Skype recording programs that, would record in 2 channels or whatever.
So all right, because I'm a little confused now. So the signal that's going to your little portable recorder,
correct.
That's coming from where? The mixer?
Yes, it comes off most of these mixers have record outs, so it's coming off of their RCA jacks, just the RCA to
the tape out
cable.
RCA.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
And then...
Yep.
Okay, so then the main outs.
The main outs, I'm doing it's a mix. I'm doing a mix minus. So I'm going. Everything's going into the aux. Everything I send into the aux send. So I can do the mix minus. Because I've got my host, my co-host, and then all my actualities. So
right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's a way there somewhere where you could probably, like for instance, I use an iPad to play my sound clips and my music beds and everything, all that. So I use an iPad. So if you did have an iPad or some sort of tablet with a soundboard on it, then you could plug that into the mixer. Obviously, everything goes into the mixer. Yeah. Then you could take your tape out, the little RCA outputs, and go to your little portable recorder, and that would be your backup recording.
Yeah. Yep.
Then you take the main left and right outputs from the mixer, the XLR main outs, go into your Presonus audio interface. Yep. And then open up either GoldWave or another program and just record left and right.
Off boom. Yep. That's right.
And that would actually be your main recording.
Yep. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. Cool.
Yeah, it's good because it's good for obviously for everyone listening to sort of just visualize that signal flow. So yeah. So the Vox pop filter, the popper stopper. That's on your mic.
That's on my mic.
Yeah.
It's just a little metal popper stopper, and I don't know which ones are better. Some people have the big cloth ones, and some people say that the metal ones there's less coloration using the metal popper stoppers. I don't know. I don't know what the difference is. I haven't done exhaustive testing, but
the popper stoppers and the windscreens and stuff, like I my only advice there would be just to not buy like a cheap one, because then you're just probably getting crap. Like if you buy one, spend decent money, get a good one, and then that means that the company has actually tested it, and it's good, and then it does its job, and it doesn't completely destroy the sound of your voice, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think metal is I've heard that as well, that metal is better. And even like for instance on the mic I'm speaking into, the RE20, now I have the repop filter, which is sold by BSW. It's called the repop.
Oh yeah.
And it's metal. But before that, I would just use like one of those little windscreens that you slip over a handheld mic, like the little foam ball. And when I switched to this, it was like noticeably more clarity and way better.
It's because you got all that high end back. That's the thing. You got all those highs back that you'd lost. Because I mean, that's and in fact, I think I don't know if it's the RE20 or the SM7B. One of them comes with like different size windscreens, I think, too. But yeah.
You're talking about the SM7B. It has like the main little windscreen thingy, which isn't much actually, but it works really well, and that's how most people use it. And then in the box, there's like this big, massive. I mean, this thing is so big. It's like, how big is it? It's like a small football, and it's like you just slip it over the mic, and it's like, even if you get close to the windscreen, you're still like 5 inches from the microphone element. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, what you were saying before, too, I think the other thing about the secret to like the 7B and the RE20 is the mic element is a lot further back in the actual, housing of the mic than a lot of other mics. So, I think that makes a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and apparently the reason they do that is to help have it to help the cardioid pattern, like so it can catch more direct signal and then receive some other signals from the sides and back and flip it out of phase and cancel it out, because that's how microphones create a cardioid pattern. They actually bring in the noise from the sides and the back and they flip it out of phase, and then they just phase it out and it just disappears.
I got to tell you too, because I know you've talked a lot about the Rode Broadcaster. And I heard about your trials and tribulations with that. And I bought one a couple years ago, man, and I sold it because it was just on my voice. It was so bad, man. I don't know, So
bad in what way?
It was just the frequency response was just bizarre. It was I couldn't even it was just, and I'd listened to all the YouTube videos and stuff, and I said, "Oh, this mic sounds pretty good," and I got it, and for me, it was just, it was terrible.
Right, so, that's interesting.
Because Rode does make some really nice stuff. They, their shotgun mics and stuff. They do make some, and I know the other mic that, what is it? The MKH 416. That's like that's like the voiceover mic of all the pros. Have one of those.
Yeah,
and. You just gotta, next time it's on sale again for $400, man, you just gotta grab it.
Yeah, well, I think it was $600. It was on sale for from $1,000 though. So that's
I know.
I'm buying one. You know what? Yeah. By that time, I'll be debating whether to buy one or two. That's how committed I am not to make the same mistake again.
Well, you know what it is, man. This is somebody said this to me once. They said, you have to look at mics as microphones are like tools. It's like, no one just has one screwdriver, so you got to have different microphones for different purposes. That's right. All there is to it.
That's the best, especially to justify everything to the spouse. That's true.
Exactly.
Oh my God. All right. So the room you're in, you said it was like a spare room, kind of like a computer room. Did you treat it at all acoustically?
I haven't done any treatment of it. I did actually buy one of those. What is it? I bought one of those little voiceover. I think it's called voiceover booth to go or something. One of these little things that you could actually put your microphone in. But I just haven't set it up yet. So no, I haven't. I should do some treatment to this room. I haven't done anything to this room. For the most part, it's not. in our podcast, it's not that bad because since my wife is using the BPHS1, she really doesn't really pick up any background at all. So she's kind of right on mic. So it works out.
Is there carpet in there?
There's no carpet.
Okay.
So, I mean, even if I put in carpet, that would help.
Is there a bunch of furniture and stuff?
Yeah, there is. There is. There's a bunch of bookcases and, so.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That helps diffuse, makes the sound bounce in all weird angles. And
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, that's what, like those diffusers, like those weird shaped foam that you kind of stick on the wall. Part of it is to absorb sound, but sometimes they're actually angled. Sometimes they'll stick out from the wall, like, 8 inches or so, like, and be angled. And that way, like, it just it diffuses the sound waves. It makes them bounce around the room at weird angles. And because the danger is that they bounce, from wall to wall and they keep going back and forth.
Well, if I had the money and the space, I'd just build my own anechoic chamber. But
Someone told me about that once. They went into one and like they went in with another person. I think it was Doc South who told me. He went in there with another person and the other person was facing away from him. And then he turned around and he said, "Oh, did you hear me? I was just talking." And he's like, "No, I didn't hear anything."
It's like, that's so awesome, man. That's so awesome.
You ever go on location?
We actually, you mean for the podcast?
Yeah.
We actually have in the early days of the podcast. We had a friend of ours who was an old used to be a radio guy, and he would bring all his equipment, recording equipment, and we did a couple live shows in Houston, and it was really fun. I mean, it was because the vibe is totally different because we had an audience and we had people coming up to help with the cooking, and it was doing location stuff is really fun.
And how did you record all that?
That wasn't any of our equipment. That was his equipment. We had mics for my wife and the host, and we even had mics pointing out into the audience, so you could get kind of the audience response. It was pretty, it was pretty cool. And but I don't have that all that kind of gear myself. I'd have to go into Hawk and get some more microphones.
All right, you know what I forgot to ask you about is
yes.
You said that your last step is Auphonic. So what does Auphonic do for your?
So what I do, well, a couple of things that I do before that. One is my host. While we're recording him, I actually back his I back his bass a little bit down on the mixer because his mic is pretty bassy.
Got it.
And I wanted to kind of match with my wife's audio.
Nice.
Then what I do is once I've got the final file and I've got it all edited, I run a low pass filter at 10,000 hertz, just to make sure that when I do transfer it to MP3, there'll be it's kind of like an anti-aliasing filter. And then I run the whole thing through Auphonic to get it up to the right level,
right,
and kind of match all the levels. And it works, like I said, it's for a non-human, at least in terms of our podcast, it does a pretty good job. So.
And then it spits out your MP3, and you just tag it.
It spits it out as a wave, and then I tag it, and then convert it to MP3 and upload it to Libsyn.
So I'm interested in this high pass filter, or this low pass filter. Sorry, I prefer low end roll off or high end roll up, but
yes.
So you're rolling off at 10 kilohertz, huh?
Yeah, roll everything off above 10
How much?
kilohertz.
Or I mean, is it just a roll off? You turn it to 10K
it's just it's 10 kilohertz and everything, 10 kilohertz and everything above.
Right.
So yeah, because the other thing is I was, and I'm going to change it now, because I distribute the show in mono because most of it's mono.
Right.
And I was doing 56K because we didn't have enough podcasting space to do it. But the thing is, we've been with Libsyn so long that they grandfathered us in and gave us like an extra 150, megs a month of disk space. So now I'm putting all the shows, from now on, all the shows are going to be 64 kbps.
Got it.
So it's just another kind of thing to make sure that when I do downsample that there's no that there's no artifacts or anything, and it works out pretty well. I mean, MP3 is, there are other formats that have been pretty popular, but MP3 kind of, I think, for podcasters is still hanging in as the number one, compressed format.
Yeah. So I'm just worried that I wouldn't want you to roll off too much high end. I mean that the clarity and the air up there is kind of important. Now, if there's way too much up there, then yeah, you could roll it off. But as far as like the aliasing stuff and all that, I don't know. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll try it. Maybe I am being a little drastic. So.
Well, use your ear. I mean, see, your ear will know. Like, I don't worry about aliasing or. Well, the only thing I make sure of is that my final file only peaks at -1.
Right.
So it doesn't go all the way to 0. It stops 1 dB short.
Yes.
And apparently that helps the MP3 encoding not like distort or be weird. Yeah. But as far as frequencies go, that never even crosses my mind to worry about frequencies and that kind of thing. So but just use your ears. I mean, your ears will always know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if you take out too much at that high end, it's like it. I mean, it's still okay because you're getting up to 10K. But I mean, look at this whole thing I just figured out with Ringer like 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. That Ringer only records to 22 kilohertz. So they
really?
literally chop off above 11K.
Oh my God, that's like the Nyquist theorem gone bananas.
Wow.
I
mean, it's like, and the reason I noticed it, and I've talked about it before, is that I wanted more high end. I wanted more air, and I'm like, oh, there's something missing on the upper frequencies, and I'm trying to EQ more high end, and I'm like, what's wrong? Something's not right. And then I looked at it in RX6, and sure enough.
That's like recording at 11K. I mean, that's just that, or
22K.
That's insane.
That's literally the sample rate that they use. 22.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Man.
So what I'm saying is, it sounded weird. Like to me, it sounded like it wasn't complete, or it was.
Yeah.
So I don't want you with your high rolling off from 10K. I don't want you to roll off too much because the listeners might feel that like, ooh, there's something missing here. I don't know. It's not clear
you know what?
enough.
I'll check. That's a good idea, man. I'll definitely pay attention and see and check it out and see what. Because the thing is, it didn't when we were just on the phone. It didn't matter because phone audio's only 300 to 3,000 hertz. But now that we're using, and I don't know what. Do you know what the frequency response? What the frequency range of Skype is? I don't even know. Is it up to?
You know what? I think it varies dependent on the bandwidth.
Mm-hmm.
But I know. Yeah, I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's not 44,100 sample rate. I mean, that's clear.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'd probably do 22 kilohertz sample rate or less. But yes, and sometimes if the bandwidth is not good, it just just destroys it.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. I mean, and most of the time we're lucky. Once in a while we'll have just bad Skype days, but I haven't, I don't know. I may have to look and see what else. Maybe I've played with Team Talk. I've played with some of these other things, but the problem with some of these other things is Skype is still. Most people have it on their computers.
Right.
It's kind of quick and dirty. A lot of these other things that are out there are just. You need to have a PhD to set them up.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, look, I use Zencastr, and Zencastr, the audio quality is way better than Skype.
Yeah.
And so you having the host who and he's always in the same place. For instance, if your host could somehow plug in an Ethernet cable to the internet, and be hardwired to the internet, then you could connect through Zencastr, and it would sound way better, much more clear.
Yeah, exactly.
So you might want to try that. I mean, there's look, Ringer's going to chop it at 11K.
I don't want that.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I mean, those are the two big services out there now. Some people use Zoom, and that's like, wow, that's not good.
Now, there's other rumors that supposedly Zencastr is eventually they're gonna be able to go to iOS, so you'll be able to use it on your iPhone supposedly. But I guess that's still in the works.
I guess so. Yeah, I haven't heard that. And I talk to Josh now and then. He did mention video is coming at some point, but
yeah.
Well, listen, Tim, this has been awesome, man. And see, I'm ending the show, and everyone's going to click off now. I have 4 vital announcements coming in about 60 seconds. I'm totally kidding. I'm just trying to get people to hang on, Tim. Is that wrong?
No, man. That's what Barry. What do you think about that, Barry?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Oh, wait. Ask him again.
Barry, what do you think about Chris trying to get people to hang on to the end of the show?
That's a dangerous thing, man.
All right. Well, Tim Cumings, producer of the Cooking in the Dark podcast. So everyone go listen to Cooking in the Dark. Look it up on your podcatcher. You're everywhere, right? Apple.
We're on. Oh yeah, Apple. Yeah. Oh yeah, we just got on Apple. We hadn't been on Apple for ages, and we're finally. I haven't even gone to look and see what our stats are like by now.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah, we're on Apple. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So check it out. Thanks for coming on the show, man. This has been.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and really, I'm glad we got to go over all your stuff, and I like what you're doing, and so. And for you listening, go back and listen to all our previous sessions, right? Even go back to the olden days. What was that, 2016? Yeah, I think, yeah. So check out those sessions, and of course, Tim, you have to yell out, sound great, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Almost ready. All right, here we go. Sound great!